Hello, Billy.
Hello.
Welcome. My name's Matt. Here with Wake Up Screaming, 10th edition, which is themed in my town. As part of that edition, I've been exploring my adopted town of Glastonbury and meeting some of the interesting characters. It led me straight to you, so I thought, we've had the Bardic trials recently, and you've spent a year as the Bard of Glastonbury, so why not have a chat with you?
Yeah, I'd love to.
So maybe you'd like to introduce yourself and tell us.
Well, I'm Billy the Celt. I'm the chaired Bard of Glastonbury. Every year there's a competition to choose a new Bard. We've just had the heats for that competition, which are the Bardic trials. There was 11 people entered, 5 qualified for the final, which will be on the 19th of May, which is on the 19th of May every year. And the 19th of May is very significant in Glastonbury, especially because it's St Dunstan's Day, who was the patron saint of alchemy and musicians, and is renowned as one of the saints from Glastonbury. He was a renowned alchemist and became the Archbishop of Canterbury.
Okay.
So it's a very significant time to be choosing the Bard, I believe, and it's done in the Assembly Rooms, which is just right next to the Abbey grounds, and carries the ley line energy, and so that's kind of the home of the Bard when you become the Bard.
Cool. And what is a Bard?
Well, the Bard traditionally in Celtic cultures, and also there's been Bardic traditions in all different cultures, but in the Celtic culture it was very significant. The Bard was really important because it was an oral tradition mainly, and the Bard would hold the history and the wisdom of the tribe. So he was the wisdom keeper of the community, and but the Bard had many gifts. It was like he was also a healer. He would also be the shaman of the tribe and the medicine man, because he had all the knowledge, and it was a Bard's duty and responsibility to acquire that knowledge for the benefits of the community. And that would go into the Bard studying Druidic tradition also. So he would learn the sort of Druidic arts. And
I read that they would go through 12 years of training.
12 years of training, yeah.
Did you go through 12 years of training?
I went through probably 120 lifetimes of training, yeah. But I've always been that. I always knew I was from that ancient Celtic line of bards. I mean, even as a little boy, I had a real photogenic memory for song lyrics, and I would remember songs after hearing them once or twice, I knew the lyrics, and even if I've not done a song in 10 years, I can still, as soon as I pick it up again, it's like the lyrics unfold. So I've always had that gift of remembering words, and I've always loved the spoken word, and I'm also a musician and singer,
Right.
which was a big part of the Bardic traditions, that the stories and the wisdom would be held in the songs and the poems, and the Bard was responsible for imparting that to the tribe.
And not every town has a Bard nowadays.
No.
Glastonbury does.
Glastonbury does, and Glastonbury is one of the towns that really has held to that tradition, and I believe that is through the nature of Glastonbury being such a strong spiritual energy on the earth completely. It's and also that this is probably one of the Celtic kingdom of Britain's capitals in England, and I kind of feel that if you're coming from the east, from London or somewhere, and then you get to Stonehenge. As you pass Stonehenge, it's almost like the gateway into the Celtic kingdom.
Wow.
And I feel the energy change, and Glastonbury is really amplified, and which most things are in Glastonbury.
Yeah, of course.
I believe that your thoughts or your feelings or your goodwill is amplified from here, where the ley lines cross the nodes of the ley line. In ancient times, the ancient people, the story is that it creates a vortex of energy, and that they used that for transportation, you know, to visit other realms and other dimensions.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's a very powerful place, Glastonbury. There's a real strong spirit of love and unity also, and community, but I feel like it's a place where old souls meet each other again and gather together again. You find your ancient tribe or your soul family.
Yeah, I can relate to that a lot, especially on the when I'm in Glastonbury. I feel especially creative and inspired. You know, it seems to be a catalyst for that kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah, it really stimulates it, because what I find, and what a lot of people find, I suppose, when you come to Glastonbury and you're just coming for the first sort of time to really connect with it, is that you immediately feel at home, you know. And most people you meet are kind of kindred spirit or like-minded, whereas you're anywhere else in the country, you don't get that. You don't get that abundance of empathetic, understanding relations with people.
Yeah.
So nearly every second person you meet, you can talk about anything, reincarnation, they get it, you know, and so you feel that you're being understood, and that you can actually grow with your own awareness and expand in your own consciousness, your own gift with it, you know.
And so, what brought you to Glastonbury? Were you
the ancestors, I would say, but the spirit led me here. But I always knew I was coming here, you know. There was just a knowing inside me, even before I was really conscious of the town. There was a knowing that I'm going to head to Glastonbury. I mean, I'd been to the festival a few times, and 20, 30 years ago I'd been up the Tor for the solstice and things, but never really connected with the town then, you know. But when I first came, it was really kind of spirit guided, and it led me here, and I knew as soon as I came, this is an ancestral homeland. I mean, there was a familiarity, but there was also a resonance, a soul resonance, in the land and with the people, and all kinds of Glastonbury magic and synchronicities take place, of course, you know, which until you live in Glastonbury, you know, you might hear people speak of it, but it's it becomes kind of the order of the day. It becomes second nature here, to like just all the sort of magic meetings that you have, and the moments that somebody turns up, or you think about somebody and then bang, they're there. And I mean, you've anybody that's spent any time in Glastonbury understands that, you know. Seems to be in its own little time bubble and energetic space, really.
Sure. So you've been the Bard of Glastonbury now for a year.
Yeah.
You're going to hand over the title at the end of May.
Yeah.
Right. How do you feel about what the bardic role has taught you about yourself? You know, how's it? Yeah.
Well, yeah. There's it's taught me. If it's taught me anything, it's taught me to value my work, or my words, or my wisdom, which I always did. But when you get recognised, I mean, there's some people in Glastonbury that had some kind of misperception of me before I became the Bard. Sure. And then I became the Bard, and then suddenly everybody's recognising that you're a wordsmith and a poet and a bard and a songsmith, storyteller, and that you've got that gift, that bardic gift. And some people think you just acquired it when you became the Bard, you know? Yeah. But it was the fact that they had misconceived you before, and maybe underestimated you, or misperceptions. And so it's really good for that, because if you've got a lot to share with people, and because it's like in the Dead Sea Scrolls, Jesus talks about the greatest of all the healing gifts that you can give to somebody, greater than the herbs or the medicines, is the gift of wisdom. So if you can impart that for the community, which has been a big part of the bardic year for me, you know, it's just, I feel like I've been very much a people's bard, being in the community and with the people and sharing poetry over a beer and doing songs. I was running open mic and throughout the year I felt that compulsion and responsibility to take care of the community. If anybody needs a poem or needs to tell me a poem, then I'm there for that. You're kind of on call all the time with it, really.
It comes with some great responsibility then.
It does, yeah. I'm very mindful of it, but I've always felt like I've always been a bard. I mean, in the 90s I collected what could be called an army of bards around Europe. I started a network of musicians who were environmentally active. So it was a kind of call to arms, you know. And what the bard should do also is focus the collective intention of the group, the tribe, the community, which is what the bards used to do in ancient times. If the tribe was going into battle, then the bards would be called upon to come and inspire.
Wow.
And the word inspire means inspiritus, from the Latin inspiritus. So you take them into spirit, and so the bards would come and tell great stories and victories in the past and great heroes, and there'd be poems and songs, and it would lift the army into spirit. And it was widely believed that the army that had the best bards would win the battle because they were more in spirit. So that word inspire, which is really the work of the bards, then you're basically taking people into spirit.
I read that a bard is someone who devotes their life to developing their creative aspect. What's creativity to you? What does that word mean?
Well, creativity to me is like life breath, really, because through music and poetry and wordsmithery and storytelling, we find a release from what could be called the control system, really. You know, there's you break free because your frequency changes, so you ascend into a different frequency range, because that whole control system's got a frequency range. And if you go into spirit through beautiful words or poetry or music, whatever, then you're changing the frequency.
You're kind of elevating yourself.
You're elevating, you're going into spirit, you're inspired.
It's beautiful.
So then you move away from all the kind of trappings of that control system. And that control system is not just about legislative control, it's also about the social programming that is a mental program, you know. So where spirit yearns to be free of that, because it's somebody else implanting it upon us, imposing it upon us from when we're tiny, you know. So we find we're liberation and freedom through creativity. And as it's life breath for me, what I always found and what I always noticed was my life would flow much more, and I'd be much happier when I was being creative, when I was writing or composing or playing music. It's almost like the energy in you and your spirit is allowed to flow, and that takes you somewhere else. So it releases you from that kind of political dogma that's got an agenda behind it. So creativity is essential for me for the etheric well-being of the human being, and where spirit can fly and soar. And a lot of the poetry I write is very much about that. And again, I don't feel like I write it, I feel like it comes through me.
Right.
So that creativity could be considered a direct link to the spirit, you know.
And that was going to be my next question, like where do your poems come from? Maybe you want to give us an example?
Yeah, well, we'll give an example, and for me, they come through me. I never feel like they're my property or something. I feel like it's my responsibility to deliver them and to share them with the best intentions, so that whatever is coming through, if there's any messages coming through with it, that the messages are felt with the heart. That, you know, because if I was to stand and recite a poem, say a specific poem, and I'm in an egotistical space, it's a very different energy than when I go into spirit with the poem, and people feel the energy of somebody who's in the spirit. And that's what the bard was. The bard would be a conduit of spirit. So the poems, for example, there's a poem, St. Dunstan's Track, that came to me, and when it came, it literally just gripped me. This energy is just gripping me, and for me that can be, it's like spirit realm, but also the ancestral bards and angels and spirit guides can be speaking through me, because I'm the bard of Glastonbury and people are going to listen. So they have an opportunity to, and I feel blessed to be that conduit, if that's the case. And so then messages can come through. So when St. Dunstan's Track started coming to me, it came in 3 waves, I think, or 4 waves. But when it came, it was literally, I'm pacing around in my room, I can't sit down, I can't think about anything other than I have to get this out. And there's all kinds of things stirring up, and ideas are coming through. So that it can be a snippet of an idea, and it can be little bits of a story or information, and then it starts to find this cohesiveness, and it comes in this poetic resonance, you know, this and I'm off. I mean, it's like I'm physically in the world, but I'm completely somewhere else. So I'll give you an example of that. It's in Dunstan's, because for me, a lot of the history has been manufactured, and the real history has been kept away from us. So in this poem, it speaks a bit about that. St. Dunstan's Track. A fantastic story as yet untold, a tale from a time of dark days of old, when Christians and pagans a fine line did share, witchcraft the cry the church did declare. St. Dunstan thrown in a cesspool black, yet carved out anew, from sickness came back. A monk he became, playing God's harp, till the devil tried to disturb him sharp. Cursing the devil for all his wrongs, he bid him be gone and put his nose in hot tongs. And here we do gather on St. Dunstan's day, the patron saint of alchemy, and did John Dee's mirror of obsidian black follow along St. Dunstan's track, arriving back to Avalon's shore, where water did flow in days of yore. The sacred knowledge a home there did find, came kindred spirit and those of like mind, sharing the knowledge till tyranny came, as Henry did profit, let's now name for to shame. Many were hung for speaking their truth, see how they swung in the absence of proof, till some hideous deeds left the town smiting, Elizabeth's father hung the abbot Richard Whiting. As Merlin told Arthur of Excalibur, what that mighty sword really was for, not to serve one man's power, but to heal, not to hack, Excalibur returned along St. Dunstan's track. We dance through the ages the great mystery, receiving the knowledge that one can be three. Joseph and Jesus and Mary stepped on Albion's shore by fair Avalon. Those resonant angels who help us to see, guiding us forward to true alchemy. Thus alchemists seeking the grail for to find, there in our hearts, in our souls, in our mind. Hermetically marshalled, guided in truth, children of light in a garden of youth. St. Dunstan still lingers, as all alchemists do. We are all spirit incarnate. We are the light coming through. Those ancient merchants, Phoenician by name, with Atlantean knowledge to Albion came. Aboriginal people in Avalon dwelt. The incoming strangers' arrival was felt. Ancestral alchemists with strange blue-eyed looks were carefully edited from the history books. Established and settled the tribe of the Cati, now modern Britannia, born out of Bharati. Floated great stones into a resonant grid, magnetic vibrations through the symbols they hid and the circles they did. Those who could access the records of Kosh, all over the earth in boats they did wash, to Avalon's shore where the ley lines cross, on Glaston's embankment alchemic surf washed. Michael and Mary unite at the Tor, embody the essence of what we search for. Energetics transforming all matter, time, space, till elements shatter, returning to grace. And all these things from otherwhere pass through time and space without a care. And like the men of Chem, we all can now see St. Dunstan's track of alchemy. There was bits of stories floating about St. Dunstan. There's a story about him playing his harp, and when he played his harp he was close to God. So, and he was beaten and thrown in a cesspool for witchcraft, but he survived that, and he was really ill, and then he recovered from his illness, and then so he was playing his harp, and the devil tried to disturb him, because if you think about every note that's played with that reverence is going to be creating an energy and a resonance around him, through the people also,
transformative,
and through the land, yeah. So it's like that harmonic resonance when you're playing in a holy way, in a reverent sort of space. So the devil tries to disturb that. And this is something that goes through the Bible and through all the ancient wisdoms and religions, is that the sort of shadow beings or the fallen ones are always trying to take the peace away from the ones that work in the light, you know, and try to disturb them, you know. And being a musician, you get that sometimes, you know. You know, like there could be a whole room full of people that are really listening to your song, but there'll be one person that's moving their chair around and try to disturb it because they're uncomfortable with that energy, you know. So the devil comes and tries to disturb him when he's playing his harp, and he put the devil's nose in hot tongs and told him he'd be gone and don't bother him again. And so just a little brief on St. Dunstan.
And what's the book you're reading from here?
This is a book of poems that I've just finished, and I've got a book launch in 2 days' time. This can be ordered at williamnoble@myself.com. And there's 16 poems, and there's 2 pages at the back for the reader to write in, if you're inspired to do so. And so I felt it was necessary to, because a lot of poems came through during this year where I've been the Bard of Glastonbury, so I was receiving a lot of stuff, and I've got to just trust that what's coming through is completely relevant to Glastonbury and the people of Glastonbury. So then I was sending them out to a few people, and I felt I should do a book, and that was a calling that I got. And the book kind of happened, ding, ding, ding. Ben got involved, and it was like, before I knew it, we had the book laid out, and it's really, for me, it's beautiful little gemstones, a little pack of gemstones, because there's something in each poem, and until I put it into book form, I couldn't experience the poem because I was carrying it. You know, I was carrying the poem, and there's this feeling to be sharing it.
You can't look at it objectively.
You can't just sit and go into the poem, you know. So, I mean, once I got it in the book, it's amazing because I can actually sit and read the poems. And I'm removed from the poem.
Enjoy them as a piece of
I can just enjoy them. And for me, great poetry is encoded. There's things between it. So the more you read it, the more it reveals itself. And I've actually got a poem I'd like to read about that. It's called Mirrors. And it's about how, if you imagine that we're all, that whatever we perceive is like less than 5% of what's going on, then there's all these hidden messages and truths being revealed, not specifically through the words, but behind the words, you know. So it's a poem called Mirrors, and it's about that.
Okay.
That came through. Mirrors. It is through that which is written shall that which is unwritten be understood. It is by that which is spoken shall the unspoken truth be revealed. And from that which is presented shall that which is hidden be seen. Yea, for there in the depths of silence shall the greatest of all things be said. The dewdrop in morning catching the first light of sun, the smile in your child's eyes radiating unconditional love, the beautiful words that can never hope to be anything other than a heartfelt reflection of that which is truly unspeakable. Our words are but shadows, reflections of ourselves as we stand with our backs to the sun. For should we turn around to face that mighty light with our naked eyes, we may be blinded. Let the fires of light burn within, then we may truly see.
Thank you.
Thank you. And it's just about that. It's like it's what's hidden within it. It's almost like it's in the spirit of the poem, or it's in the poem is this deep realm, and every time you read the poem, you're tapping into it. It's like a fountain of knowledge, a fountain of love, or a fountain of peace, you know. This year's theme for the Bardic Trials for 2018, which all the contestants have to write about, is the virtues of humility. And when I became the Bard last year, the theme that we had to write about was silence. So this is a poem called The Essence of Silence, which I did in the final. Not the only poem I did, but that was the essence of it, really. The performance was that poem. So
okay, wonderful.
The Essence of Silence. There in the silence, ancestors speak. Rise up through conscious thought, and to that silent place I am brought. There in the sacred silence I am present, all-knowing and found. In that silent temporal resonance is the golden purest sound. And from that silence we rise up screaming to find peace with all, life force streaming. There in the silence God's self awakes, returning to the greatest all, the sound that silence makes. And what of the silence of the heart, the silent heart? When we listen with our hearts, we hear the song of creation. When we speak with our hearts, the whole of creation hears our greatest truth. What of the silence of the blade of grass, the silence of the oak tree, the silence of the earth, the green man and his message? To protect all life and all living things, the simple, urgent message he brings. Open the heart to the song that he sings, for the silence of earth is upon us. His magic web he weaves with great care, that we may return to the earth when he's there. With powerful silence he does declare, the silence of earth be upon us. With solemn grace he's dancing the wheel, as 1,000 bright fiddles take up the reel. Shows us within us what we dare not feel. Now the silence of earth be upon us. And he's sounding the siren that it's our last chance. Take your positions, prepare for the dance. He speaks of destruction and he speaks of romance. Now the silence of earth is upon us. Brings faith to the faithless, brings sight to the blind, speaks soft to the cruel heart, calms the quick mind, helps us remember what we've left behind. Now the silence of earth be upon us. And no one can know how his hidden design works deep within us we cannot define. The source of his knowledge, a long ancient line. Now the silence of earth is upon us. Found myself in a silent place, travelled far through time and space, till the angel of peace did come with grace, and took me in her silent embrace.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Billy.